I'm honestly sick of all of the BS surrounding health and pain and movement. We've seen so many people in pain who've been told to stop running, stop lifting, and stop moving. They've been taught to fear their bodies and fear movement when movement is the one thing they actually need more of. We've spent years teaching people how to get out of pain and get back to doing the things they love. And what we've learned is most people don't need fixing. They need clarity. They need to be taught what their diagnosis actually means, and they need a personalized plan to help them meet their goals. There's so much noise out there about health. I decided to stop getting angry about it and start putting the right noise into the world. And that's what the Made to Move podcast is. Some episodes are about pain and injuries. Some are about how to improve your health. Some are about what it actually looks like behind the scenes to build a different kind of healthcare. So if you want to understand your body, get out of pain, and take ownership of your health, and see what it looks like when a bunch of physical therapists try to change healthcare, this podcast is for you. Because we were all made to move. Welcome back to the Made to Move podcast. So in the last episode, you got to hear my side of the story. The letter, why Made to Move, the fear, and the mission behind it all. But a huge part of that story has always been Elliot, the person who's been building this with me and honestly just trying to keep me sane through everything. So today, we get to hear his side. All right, Elliot, welcome to the Made to Move podcast.
Hey, Han.
Okay, I have a big one to start with. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so before Made to Move, before Prime, who were you?
Who was I? I was a lot of things. Let's see here. So before all of this, like kind of walking backwards, like I went to PT school, but then before that I was at Wofford. And before that, just thinking about my life, it revolved around really one thing, and that was baseball.
Big sports guy.
Big sports guy. From the age of 4 or whenever you start to, all the way up through college, pretty much every decision that I made revolved in some capacity around baseball. Whether that be like going to travel things or to trying to get into college, trying to get seen by different places. I was a baseball guy, and that was it through and through.
So baseball was your first love.
Baseball was definitely my first love.
Okay, so how did that turn into you deciding to go to MUSC for physical therapy school, which, that's where we met? Sure.
Yeah. At Wofford, I pretty much the whole, at least like freshman through junior year, I wanted to be a teacher of all things. I thought for sure that's what I was going to do until I had a little bit of an injury my senior year, but ultimately I knew that movement and like weightlifting and athleticism, as I just told you, like sports were just a huge part of my life. And I thought that maybe it would be a mistake to not have that be a part of my career. And so then I pivoted. I knew I wanted to do something in kind of the medical field. Once I made that pivot, and physical therapy just made a lot of sense. And so I didn't have any crazy aha moment. I just knew I was like, I want to do some component of athleticism, work with athletes, do some sports stuff, and then also be a teacher. And I think physical therapy was a good marriage of the two.
Yeah, I think as physical therapists, we are teachers.
Right.
So good job. You chose the right career.
Thanks. I mean, sometimes I don't feel like it, but
yeah, it's tough. So you were super into sports, and like your love for movement led you to want to become a physical therapist.
Yeah.
What made you want to start your own physical therapy business, and what brought us to Prime?
I think a lot of things brought us to Prime, but as you know, getting into PT school, at least for a lot of people, I feel like it's not what they expect. I got into PT school thinking like, okay, I'm going to work with these athletes. I'm going to get to teach them movements and teach them how to get out of pain and all of these things. And you kind of get into it and you realize that there's so much there's a lot of red tape around it. There's a lot of just different barriers that a lot of PTs have to go through. And it was just really frustrating. And I remember, I'm sure you felt the same way, but in PT school, there were just so many frustrations. And so it got to the point where I'm like, okay, like maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had like a mid PT school crisis of like, I don't know. I think I made the wrong decision. Maybe I should drop out and cut my losses and things like that. So it was kind of like right around probably like my second to third rotation where I feel like I had to make a call. I had to make a decision of like, am I going to stick with this or not? And I think one of the biggest movers in what led me to continue on was you. And you had always been so passionate about like Made to Move, and I didn't know what Made to Move was at the time, but about like this thing called like self-pay physical therapy, cash-based physical therapy. And I didn't know really anything about it. But as I got further and further into it, just like asking questions and learning stuff about that.
Yeah,
like,
you started hitting me up. You're like, hey, you know Eve, like tell me all about this.
Yeah.
And remember I was doing the podcast with Mesa at that point?
Yeah.
And you're like, tell me more about this. And I was like, God, like stop asking me all these questions.
Yeah. It's because I like in the back of my mind, like it was kind of like my last ditch effort to see like, okay, like I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. So like I need to either like figure it out or move on. And so I felt called to kind of learn more about what that side of things was. Cause you were obviously super passionate about it. So I was like, what the hell? Let me ask her about it.
Yeah. And you did, you got my number and here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
When you had the moment of like, I need to make the call, I might not do this forever, I might pivot. Was there something else you were considering doing instead?
Yeah. It kind of went back to teaching. I thought like, okay, maybe I could do, physical therapy in some sort of academic role. It's funny enough, I just saw Nicole Decker, who now is a professor at Charleston Southern.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Full-time professor.
Wow.
Which I think is really cool. Shout out to Nicole.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think like in a different world, I think that could have been me. Like, I think I would have really enjoyed that.
It still could one day.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, no, I definitely
we'll burn this to the ground.
Yeah.
When we'll just start.
Actually,
we're
yeah. So like that was kind of my fallback plan, in terms of like what I was going to do if physical therapy wasn't, physical therapy in the sense of seeing patients wasn't going to work out.
So have you always kind of been more entrepreneurial? And I can never say it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's always
It
wrong.
will come up again. Dude, I've had a bunch of people ask me this question. Like a lot of patients will ask you this, like, oh, you started, a company.
Yeah.
Like,
were you doing lemonade
Did you
stands?
know? Like, did you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I feel like there's elements of my life where like, I would always want to do something new and try something new. Like I was always like a move fast and break shit type of person.
I'm sure your family loved that.
Yeah. So like, there's probably bits and pieces of it, but like when I get asked this question, my answer is always no. Like I don't really feel that way. At least to the extent of like, were you always an entrepreneur? But I mean, at the same time, like the list of evidence is kind of against me in that. Like even in PT school, like the first company that I started with Quentin, and
SSP, baby.
SSP, we were Southern Sports Performance, and I had just gotten my CSCS, my strength and conditioning certification. And I just thought like, man, like I feel like there's a lot of high schools and colleges who don't have a strength coach. Like at Lexington, we didn't have a strength coach. Like
that's wild.
Crazy.
It's a massive school.
It's a 5A huge school in South Carolina. We did not have a strength coach. Like it was the wrestling coach. He was like, do push-ups until you can't do them anymore. And that's the workout. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, sir. So I literally my first year of PT school, Quentin and I made this business where we would go out, we would basically like introduce ourselves to a team in the like a high school or college area. And we would say, hey, we will write your strength and conditioning plan, and we'll do it for X amount of money. So that was really my first foray into a business. And then also in PT school, I was a personal trainer. And so like in that way, you have your own little book of clients. And you again, like I never considered myself an entrepreneur, but at the same time, like I always wanted to do something new. And I think in some degree, like I always wanted to make an impact.
So how did you come up with the idea to open Prime Performance Rehab? Tell me about the beginning and the early stages of that.
It was almost like something that I did because I didn't have an alternative that I really loved. Like I said, like I was kind of coming off of the back of being a personal trainer in school. So one thing that taught me was like, I really, really value being one-on-one with people. And so like that, getting to do that for 2.5 years throughout school, like you get really good at coaching. I happen to get like pretty good at sales as well. So like there was elements of that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I actually feel like I can make an impact here. I feel like I can make a difference here. You got to see like people go through like different strength and conditioning things, and they got stronger, they got faster, they got better, they started achieving goals. I'm like, this is really cool. And then, you know, that was juxtaposed with like PT. And then I was going through my rotations, and we were having like 2 to 3 patients an hour, or I would be forced to do this slate of exercises, even though in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wish I had this. I wish we were doing this instead. And for probably a multitude of different reasons that I didn't fully understand at the time, like PT was it just felt more restricted. It felt more constrictive. And so then, you know, Prime basically started on the back of that, of like, I knew I wanted to do something different. I was, you know, slowly getting exposed to the cash-based world. And in my last rotation, I don't know if you remember this, I actually had a rotation in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wait.
I know.
No, I forgot about that.
So my last rotation was actually in Cleveland, Ohio. We've got family in Akron. I was like, I'm just going to do that. It was just an outpatient insurance ortho place. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I begged our professor at the time, who was in charge of it, I begged her to let me switch. And she said, no.
Oof.
I know. And so I was like, maybe another step in the entrepreneur world, but I was like, I don't know if I'm going to take that as an answer. And so I Instagram DM'd 10 cash-based PTs, because I was like, again, like I just want to try something new.
You just Google like cash-based PT?
Literally exactly that.
And then you DM'd them?
DM'd them on Instagram, and a couple of people reached out, and I one person who was in a baseball performance facility in Hudson, Massachusetts, his name is Andrew Millett. He said yes, and they took students a good bit. And so he was like, yeah, dude, like, come on in. He actually already had a student signed up, but he said yes anyways. And that really set, I guess, like that course in motion of like, wow, I really want to do cash-based PT. He got to treat one-on-one. He got to spend 60 to 90 minutes with all of his people. I'm like, damn, this is cool. It kind of got to be that like eye-opening moment of like, okay, I know Hannah had been talking about like cash-based PT for a long time now, but like I got to see it, I got to do it. And so then I just tried to marry the two, and that's where Prime was born. Like I was like, can I basically be a coach, a one-on-one person for all of these patients? Can I use my PT knowledge, and can I do that in a one-on-one setting? And unfortunately, the only place that did it at the time in Charleston was Made to Move. And so like I'd met Eve a handful of times before.
Yeah, y'all had like meetings. Do you remember that? He told me that the other day. I forgot.
I'd met because I just, you know, I considered him some sort of a leader in the space.
You were like, hey, don't hire this girl, hire me.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, dating you at the time, and yeah, so they hired you. So I was like, I'll just go kick rocks. And I was like, it basically kind of came to it of like, I don't know how to start a business. I don't really know anything about this. But like we did SSP, we did personal training. I'm like, this is the same. Like I can do this. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be great at it right at the start, but like we will figure it out. And, I think it's been a mentality that I think has served me really well. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. And just kind of like trusting yourself to just at least take the next step. And I think it's been a really powerful mantra of mine.
So it's 2020 at the time. You decide to open a business.
Right.
We come back to Charleston after rotations. What was the first month? Because you're like, okay, I'm doing Prime. I don't know if you remember in Mississippi at my parents' where we like looked at your notebook and we were like, this is the name.
Yeah.
We get back here. Like, do you have a space? Do you know where you're practicing? Like, what are you doing?
No, I knew nothing. Where I started was I was like, okay, in order to treat patients, I have to have a couple of things. I need a treatment table. I need a name. I need basically like a space, like a roof over my head or some sort of space to treat. And I was like, if I have those three things,
A business license.
I have, you gotta get, well, I mean, like that came maybe month 2 or month 3, but like, we'll ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, I was like, I just need to have a space to literally exist. And so the first step was like trying to find that. I bought a little $70 treatment table on Amazon and I went out. I just basically like, either went to or cold emailed, cold DM'd a bunch of gym owners in the area. I started with the gym that we went to at the time, which was Rhapsody. And, I just tried to ask whoever I could. I'm like, please, sir, like
help me.
I would love to, basically like be a PT in your space. I will try to keep your members healthy. Just like I don't like, I'll pay you rent. Like I'll try to do whatever I can. And, everyone I reached out to said no.
Which like during COVID, you'd think they'd be like, yeah,
Chomping
pay me
at the
rent.
bit.
Please come
Totally.
help.
And like, I used to be like, well, like that's like, I used to be upset about that. Like that they, like a lot of places said no. And then like looking back on it, like, so now being a business owner, like now like put yourself in that situation. Like some punk ass kid says, hey, mister, can I please have space in your,
you're like in the most stressful business period of your life in
like
2020.
A gym owner in 2020 is like, dude,
I'm just trying to survive.
Like we're bleeding money. Like how can I say yes to this? But one person didn't. One person, I think like, looking back on it now, I think he was crazy. But one person was like, he was super welcoming. He was like, dude, yeah, like, come on, man. Like, we're actually not in our space right now because of COVID, but, you can come try like a workout class with us. We're in Hampton Park. We'll be here at this time. Like, let's just come chat. Like, I don't know if I can say yes to this, but like, let's do it. So I went, I was like, hell yeah. Like, I think I even told you, I'm like, hey, like this guy, he said, yeah, like maybe this is something. I went to Hampton Park, did a horrible workout.
I bet.
Horrible workout. And I think like largely it was, so like in that workout, it was actually co-led, and the person who he was with, like it was one of their like first classes, and they were shadowing, and they were basically trying to like see if this other person like would be a good coach for them. And the workout was horrible, man.
Horrible.
It was
how?
so many burpees. It's in Hampton Park. So you're just rolling around in the dirt. You're super sweaty. It was like May or probably late April or something like that. And I'm like, man, like this was horrific. And I also remember there being like a really fit girl who was also in the class who like, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure that I put a good impression. So I was like racing her the whole time. We were running around Hampton Park, and, but yeah, I just remember the workout being really, really tough. And that was the first time I had met Joey Welling and Caitlin Howard.
I knew it was Caitlin. Yeah, I knew it.
So like, again, like fast forward now, like, it was also the time I met Nellie Rusher Clark.
Oh yeah. Was she the fit girl?
She was the fit girl who was beating me essentially in every single thing.
And Caitlin was the one that made you do a bunch of burpees.
Yeah. And then Caitlin was the co-instructor.
Yeah.
And what I know now that I didn't know it then, it was like, Caitlin was basically like interning, shadowing, and starting to become like a coach for Joey. And, so like he was basically using the Hampton Park class as like Caitlin's like learning and kind of like entry into Exemplar at the time.
So he says, hey, you can come set up shop in our space, but we're not open in our space yet.
Yep.
But then they open eventually because Charleston opens super quickly.
Right. Yep. So, you know, he eventually said yes. He basically was like, yeah, come see the space. Like, we'll walk you through. And again, like it was this moment where I was like, okay, wow, like someone actually believes in me. Someone actually thinks like, that this is a good idea. And, you know, knowing Joey now, like, man, like Joey, he's just a yes man. And I think like even more so then, he just was similar to me. Joey wants to make people happy. Joey wants to make an impact in the community, and he wants to try to bring people up or bring people with him. It's just a really incredible quality. And so I was fortunate enough to stumble into his path, and he was the one who allowed me to be in the space. And so, yeah, brought my little $70 table. I didn't have a chair. I just put it in the corner. Didn't have an office.
I feel like you used a box for
I
a
used
while.
a plyo box.
It was like you and box.
Yep.
Like you had a sign outside and then you'd walk in.
I didn't have that at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a logo quite yet. Like,
yeah, but you had a name. And you had a table and you had a space.
Yep, exactly. And so I basically just set up shop in the corner, didn't have any walls. I was like, all right, here I am. This is what we're doing now.
So this was going on summer of 2020. At the same time, your girlfriend, me, I was working for Made to Move, you know,
Right.
We were doing that thing. Like, how did that feel for you knowing like you were growing Prime and 20 minutes down the road, I was working with Made to Move?
Yeah. Like,
I talked very honestly on my podcast about how I felt. Okay. So like be transparent here.
I will be transparent. And to be really honest, I can imagine, because I know you, like I can imagine how you felt. And we've talked about it before, but like God's honest truth, like I know that I didn't feel the same.
Just didn't care.
Yeah. And maybe partly it was because like in that moment, like you don't really know much of anything and your head's just spiraling with a bunch of different things. Like you're just trying to keep your head above water. And so like, to be honest, like I didn't care a tremendous amount that you were down the road. Like, I was literally just trying to get my first 5 clients. Like it felt irrelevant at the time. It felt like something that like you were working for a company that was definitely on the cutting edge, definitely leading from the forefront. And I felt so far behind that I'm like, they don't think about me at all. Like it just didn't matter.
Little did you know, I thought about you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, it was one step at a time. Like, what software do I use? How do I get my first client? Like, what do I charge? Like, it was just
let me make a website.
You're so in it. Like, you're so in the moment that you don't really, I didn't have much thought. I didn't give the macro much thought.
Yeah.
I didn't really have time.
So what were some of the things that you really had to learn like very quickly being a business owner and starting to treat clients in those first few months?
Well, see, like I do think that's kind of the ironic part is like I didn't have to learn anything quickly. You kind of just like, because you're starting from literally nothing, you don't have any clients, no one knows you exist. Like you actually learn things really slowly, because you don't have enough repetitions to really like learn what you're doing. And so like I think it was one of the advantages that I had, in my opinion, when we merged, which I'm sure we'll get to, but like one of the advantages I had was that I got to get into this like business ownership thing really slowly. I went from 0 clients to 0 clients to 1 client to 1 client to 0 clients to 2 clients to 0 to 1 to 2. Like just got to build very slowly over time. And, but I would say the number one thing that I learned just like throughout that entirety of that process was you can't sit back. You can't sit back and expect patience, or can't sit back and expect like good things to come to you. Because the reality is like no one knows you exist. No one has any reason to care that you exist. And you just have to keep making strides towards what you want. You have to keep making strides towards the future that you're striving towards. Like you have to keep going. You have to keep taking the next step. or else like you will crumble under the weight of like, oh my God, like this was a mistake. I should stop doing this. Like, you just have to keep going. You have to keep putting yourself out there, no matter how many times like people tell you no matter how many times that, things don't work out. Like you just have to keep going.
How did you pay rent? Like genuinely, like 0 clients, 2 clients, COVID, just started a business. What did you do?
Yeah. Well, the
OnlyFans wasn't a thing.
OnlyFans were not a thing. My feet are not that attractive anyways.
That might be the point, but yeah.
I paid rent because I was a personal trainer, and I was a personal trainer all through school. And so like I had a solid amount of savings, and, on top of that, like I basically just kept my personal training clients. And so I was able to supplement like my personal income with personal training so that I paid rent, ate food, didn't die. And so that I could be very aggressive on the Prime front, because I didn't actually need any income, because I had what was a part-time job, my personal training had sustained me through PT school. So I was like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep doing that.
So you kept doing it.
Yeah.
And like you had things saved because you were actually smart in PT school and you worked the whole time.
Yep. And we had some savings from Southern Sports Performance. We had some savings from personal training. Then we were like, let's put it all on black, when my roommate at the time was like, hey, I've been reading this Reddit thread about this stock that like, I don't know really anything about it, but I think it's going to blow up. It's GameStop, like, GameStop, where you go trade in your old video games. Like, and we were like, yeah, like I'll throw a couple $1,000 on GameStop, and it took off.
I remember you called me and I was like, Elliot, I'm at work. Like I am actually treating a patient right now, but like, sure. Like here's some of my money. Like, I trust you in this. And it paid my rent that month.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I wish I had more money at the time to invest in it.
There you go.
But here we are.
Yet another moment of like, just take action. Like,
I don't think that we should be giving financial advice about stock and GameStop right now.
I'm sure you're wondering why I've called you out here
that was
today.
a very unique experience. Okay, so first year of Prime, what scared you the most? Was there anything that was making you nervous, anxious, stressed?
What scared me the most?
Still a pandemic. Like that was happening.
Yeah. It was more internal. I think that like I've said, I think the biggest thing that was driving me was I wanted to help people. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to be the person that people could go to, and to be that teacher, to be that leader, to be that servant of others. I think that the scary part of kind of those first couple of months to year, like, is the worry, is the voice in your head that's saying like, you're not doing that. You're not doing a good job. You're not, the people you're helping, like you're just helping like a small amount, or you're not doing the things that you think you're doing, and you're not making that impact. And, cause it sounds like super romantic now, but like at the beginning, when you have 3 people that week and you've been trying to build this thing for a couple of months now, and you're like, I saw 4 patients this week, like, and 2 of them are still in pain. Like, you're just like, damn, like I'm not as good as this as I thought I was. And it can be really tough. It can be pretty lonely. So much of my life was filled with like sports and team making an impact. And so the moments in my life where I let that doubt creep in, where like, you're not helping people. Those moments are really hard.
What got you through it? What kept you going?
Honestly, like, I would say the the biggest things that got me through it were just my own community. You were a massive role.
I'm like, I was not very supportive at that time. It could not have been me.
Yeah, but I don't think you realize, like, I don't think you were incredibly supportive of Prime, but you were still incredibly supportive of me. And I don't think you really recognize like how much that meant. I think that there's a lot of people in my life who gave me the belief when it was hard to believe myself. Like, I think McKinley is another great example. It's probably a major reason why we're so close now. What kept me going was people who believed in me.
So what did you think when I finally said, have you thought about merging? What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, because thinking about that moment in our lives, like, we were getting pretty serious, and the first thought that ran through my head was like, this makes so much sense. Like, I knew that, like, I wanted to continue doing this. Like, I knew that I wanted to make an impact. And at that time, like, I felt like Prime was starting to, but I just wanted more. Like, I wanted to keep going. I wanted to, just really, see how we could change the Charleston community. And when you said merge, I was like, it brought up a lot of thoughts. I'm sure it brought up a lot of feelings for you as well, but it brought up a lot of feelings of like, this is the chance. This is the chance that we have. I think we can do a lot more together than we can separately. And once we started talking about it, it was really hard to let that thought go.
Yeah. It was like, once the ball started rolling, like, that thing is still rolling.
Yeah.
You know, and I was so nervous that it was going to somehow stop. Like, that was my biggest fear once it kept going. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, over the years, I felt like sometimes, like, I need that thing to slow down.
Yeah.
Like, wow, who pushed this? Oh, right. It was me. So in the beginning stages of, like, we were talking about what does this look like and how do we make this work? Were you nervous at all about, like, giving up? You were kind of giving up your baby, and you were, hey, I'm going to share it, and giving up full control, and also working with your girlfriend now.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, because at the beginning, I was like, okay, we're not making that big of an impact. But as time went on, because this was probably like, a year and a half in at that point, I had really felt like, okay, like, I'm starting to figure this out. Like, I think that our community at Exemplar, and then, what was going to be Ethos, like, I felt really good about that. Around this time, like, we were considering hiring, like, I say we, because I always say we, but Prime was considering hiring, like, and yeah, it was really hard to consider giving all of that up. But again, like, I tried to not view it that way. I tried to view it in a way that I'm like, okay, if I believe that we can do more together than we can do separately, then I have to say yes to this. Even if it is like, okay, this is this thing that I've been building, even if I do have to say goodbye to it to some degree, the potential of multiplying our impact heavily outweighed the cons of giving something up that, to be honest, like, wasn't even mine to begin with. Like, I just, Prime was always supposed to be like something that to help other people. And so again, like, if my mission truly is to help other people, then, like, it's for them. It's that's the thing. So I can't think about it through that lens of, oh, but this is mine. I don't want to give this up. was about the people to begin with.
So then how did you feel when Eve was like, hey, I want to sell y'all 100% right now?
Crazy. My initial thought, honestly, was like, what am I missing? Like,
are you sure?
Yeah. Like this, because in the same sense, like Eve, like Made to Move was his baby. And I thought he was crazy for saying that. And, something that we had never talked about, because the talks up to that point were about how do I come into Made to Move? How does Made to Move essentially like acquire Prime, and we grow from there. And so then when he said that, I was like, what am I missing? Why would he say this? Like, is something wrong? Like, but then when he walked it through, like, I think logically, like it made sense. Like, I think like he and his other business like was really taking off. And I, especially now looking back on it, I'm like, that was the right call for him by a mile. Him putting all of this effort into that business that was growing. And just like what he's taught us about prioritization, like I think it was absolutely the right move. And then Dane too, like who was such an integral part to Made to Move, like he was also looking for a change. And I think that it made sense that he proposed that. I think that him and Dane were both in a season where like, I think we're ready, just for new things. But yeah, it was crazy.
Did you ever consider saying no?
No, 0%.
It was just like, you're crazy, but I'm going to take you up on it before you.
I don't remember what we said, but
we were just like,
essentially it was like, I would say yes immediately.
Yeah. He was like, think about it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no need, man.
We'll think about it.
Like, yeah, this will be.
Yeah, we're just gonna. Do you remember we left the clinic and then we saw him again at Publix?
I don't remember
and
that.
And we had a bottle of champagne in our hand and we were like, like we were like getting dinner.
Wait.
And he was like, oh, okay.
We're gonna say no.
Yeah, like, oh, we're still thinking about it. Sure, okay. So, that happens and that was wild. Did you ever have like an oh shit moment of like, okay, you had Prime and now we have Made to Move. Like we have multiple locations, we have multiple employees. You're owning this with your girlfriend. What was your first oh shit moment?
I feel like we've had a lot of oh shit moments.
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest oh shit moments come from like, honestly, like assuming that you can take on more than you actually can. It's the downside. It's the con of like jumping out of the plane and building the parachute on the way down, which again, like I think is a mentality that can serve people, especially when they're young and nimble. Like it can serve them really well. But I feel like most of the oh shit moments that we've had have come off of the back of that.
Is there anything that you remember or like any? Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest oh shit moment that we had was Romney.
Yeah. I didn't want to lead you into it.
Yeah.
My next question was like, well, one, are there any mistakes that you regret?
Regret's a weird word.
Yeah, I knew that you'd. What mistake stings the most?
I don't think Romney stings the most. No, like Romney was I think the biggest logistical and financial mistake that we have made. But it doesn't sting the most. Like I remember that moment. I remember that season of still being glad we bet on ourselves. I know.
That's like the worst season of my life.
It sucked. It was horrible. I definitely don't want to discredit it.
You know what? I'm glad we did this.
Glad we glad
anymore.
I don't know, call it crazy, but like I always want to be the person. I always want to be the company that bets on us and that bets on ourselves. And I think that was a huge bet and it didn't go the way that we wanted it to. But like, I learned a lot of lessons, but one of the lessons that I tried not to take away was you should not bet on yourself.
What do you feel like was the biggest lesson that you learned from Romney?
I would say the biggest lesson that I learned was that you're not unbreakable. Because to that point, like we had made a bunch of small decisions, and for the most part, like most everything had worked out in our favor. Each time that I felt like I was like, I made a decision or we made a decision, we took a risk and it paid off. We took a risk and it paid off. We took a risk and if like now going back through my, college and, MUSC years, like that's basically what I just said the whole time was like, I took a risk and it paid off. We started SSP and it paid off. We invested in GameStop and it paid off. We started a business and it paid off. I know.
I feel like this was the first huge risk.
Yeah. I mean, we basically took all of what we had built to that point and we put it on black and we said, we're really going to go for this.
Yeah. Can I explain what Romney is? Cause like we've never talked about it.
Yeah.
Cause I was still stinging from it. So there was a space downtown that actually Ethos was considering, and we were going to join forces with them, and it needed so much work that it was essentially like the amount of loans that we were going to have to put into the space, like it kind of just kept growing.
Yeah, it was just a dilapidated warehouse.
Yeah, and it might even still be. I choose not to drive by it, but Ethos at some point was like, actually, like we don't need this right now, but like y'all can take it.
Right.
And we decided that we were going to open a massive downtown location. I think we signed a 10-year lease.
10-year lease.
And the rent at the time was like, you can't beat this in Charleston, and like you'll never be able to beat it
still
again.
Can't.
But the budget to actually make the space habitable was insane.
Yeah.
And so, and also, I think what a lot of people don't understand, unless you start a business in downtown Charleston, is the permitting is such a nightmare.
Horrible.
And I remember it was like every month we'd be like, oh, we're going to sit for permitting this month. And then Aaron, the architect, would be like, sorry, we didn't make it. We're not in line. And so it was like, okay, the next month. So we paid a contractor, we paid an architect. And then finally, because we only got like 6 months of, was it 6 months or 9 months of free rent or something? And it was like, we have done a little bit of demo and rent starts next month. And the thing was, it wasn't like we have a couple of months of rent and then we'll open. It was like, there is no end in sight because there are these huge roadblocks. So it was like all of our money, all of our time at that point. I remember a huge part of that year was spent focusing on Romney.
Yeah.
So the rest of the business was kind of like pause. But then meanwhile, all of the money that we had saved at that point.
Yeah.
And thank God we did when we did. We had to get out of the lease.
Yeah.
Which was also a nightmare and was scary because
of course it was.
Just like we were at their mercy.
Yeah. And honestly, like rightfully so. Like, yeah, we had such a razor thin margin of error that like any sort of mess up in the timeline, permitting wise, or any sort of mess up in the cost of, building equipment and demo and like anything, we were just so stretched thin. It was like essentially everything had to go perfectly for this to work out. And if you know anything about anything, if you know anything about construction or anything about like building out a space, it's the people say that it's always double the budget and double the time. Yeah. And being super naive, we were like, but this time, actually, we're different. We're different than that. Like everything's going to work out. But no, it is double the time and double the budget. And we couldn't afford either.
Yeah, I remember like looking at the budget for the next year. And we were like, well, we'll have Romney to pay for, and then this will happen. And it was like, well, we have to, if we make this much money, well, then we'll only be in debt by this much amount. It was like, what are we doing here? Like this is just not going to work out. And I had already been so stressed and like, lots of sobbing and lots of screaming and like, it was just hurting us so much. But also I agree, looking back, we learned so much in a time where like, we don't have kids, we didn't have a house, we did have a business and employees to pay. And like, we take that very, very seriously, but like that wasn't at risk. It was the future was at risk, but it was like the best time to make such a big mistake.
Totally.
Because we learned. And like, I also learned so much about contracting and building. And so then for Charlotte, I felt like we were smooth sailing.
Yeah, went great. Yeah, and I think like the biggest thing that I took away was, wow, we can mess up and we can mess up hard.
The fact that's what you took away from it?
Like, but seriously, like we messed up big time. We lost a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of tears for sure. We did all of that and we still were fine. Like, man, like what a resilient feeling is that, like, man, I can do pretty much one of the worst decisions, lose a lot of money, lose a lot of probably trust with our team as well. Like it sucked and still it was fine. Ultimately, like it's a resilient feeling.
Until probably this time last year when we had to stop paying off that mistake to be like, oh, we were fine.
Sure.
But now you're right. It was like, oh, like we thought this was the worst thing that could ever happen. And
before this moment, when was the last time you thought about it?
I think about this regularly.
No shot.
Every day I wake up and I'm like, thank God Romney is over. No, actually, I mean, because I think about the story Made to Move a lot and I've been sharing it a lot, I do think about the word Romney.
But until this moment, like, man, it hadn't relevantly, aside from like going down memory lane, like it hasn't come up.
Sure. So then what mistake did sting the most, if not that? That we can publicly say.
The mistakes that always hurt the most are the people. I think the things that really sting the most, at least for me, are the employees, the team. Anytime we mess up with them, anytime we have something like go wrong, or we have to let a teammate go, or we have to a teammate leaves, like those are the ones that sting the most.
Yeah, like the first time we ever had to like officially let someone go.
Horrid.
It was just like the worst feeling I ever had about myself.
Yeah.
It was like, I know we have to do this, but I just felt so like I just sat in my car and cried.
It's just such a potent reminder of like you failed.
To us.
To
like
us.
I was like, we failed this person.
Right.
But I don't think we can take all the ownership, but either way, it sucks.
It sucks. You pour so much into them, man, like, especially like being a small business, like you get close with them. You work out with them, you eat dinner with them. Like you just do all of these things. Like they're legitimately your friends. And it's like, anytime like it's a breakup, it just, that's exactly what it feels like. And again, like, I think that to your point, like, I think there's ownership on both sides of any breakup. But man, it bites. It sucks every single time.
What do you feel like have been, or what has been like the hardest season for you?
To be honest, I feel like it's been this year. Believe it or not. I think the first half of 2025 has been, I think 2025 in general, but like I think especially the first half has probably been has been the hardest year for me to date.
Getting married to me really sucked, huh?
Sucked. It's horrible. We got married in April, so
first half of 2025, man.
That was horrible.
What about 2025 in the first half has been so hard for you?
I think like 2024 was a year of where like Made to Move, like we had like a good bit of like employee turnover. We'd had a good bit of just like moments where we're like, we're not doing that great as a company, like a lot of uncertainty. And we just like, I felt like we almost had no direction. And so that was really hard. And so like, that's obviously weighing on me. And then just like, I felt like a lot of the mistakes that were going on in our business were mistakes that I had made or mistakes that I had allowed. I didn't feel like I was being a good leader. I didn't feel like I was being a good manager. I felt like it was kind of one of those moments where like I really had to take I had to look in the mirror and say like, okay, like things are not going the way that they should be. Like what are you doing wrong? What are some things that you need to improve? And a lot of it came down to like, I'm not leading the team well because I think I'm letting a lot of my insecurities get in the way. A lot of my like insecurities kind of center around like, I want people to be proud of me. I want people to think highly of me. I want people to think that I'm selfless and that I'm a giver. And what that kind of like when I'm not really thoughtful in how I speak and how I lead, what that a lot of times can like turn into is just people pleasing. I want people to think this way of me. Therefore, I'm going to say yes to this thing. I want people to think highly of me. So I'm going to take way more on than I should and overextend myself so that I actually can't do the job that I need to do. I want to say yes to things. I want to jump in and help. And when done poorly, like that's honestly just micromanaging or not letting my teammates do what they need to do because I'm trying to be the hero. And it all kind of stemmed back to like just me wanting to be seen in a certain light. And so like having to reverse a lot of that or having to like work on a lot of that like insecurity of like, what do people think about me? Tough.
And that all has been kind of happening this year.
Yeah. I think it's, I mean, you know, to some extent it probably happens all the time, but I think that
it came to a head this year.
It really came to a head this year.
Yeah. Was there anything that sparked it?
I think there's been a couple of things that have sparked it, but it mainly comes down to conversations with teammates that I don't think that I handled very well. I think that, looking at the business as a whole from in the front half of the year, like we realized that like a lot of things were going wrong. And, I think each one of us had some ownership to play in it, but, I think it was really powerful when we all came together and we talked about like, okay, like why is Made to Move? Why are we not succeeding in the way that we should, or that we think we can? So it was, what sparked it was conversations with teammates and conversations with you.
Yeah. I feel like those things too are often like death by a thousand cuts. And it's like, you let these things go on for so long and then this happens and this happens and this happens. And then we looked at everything and we were like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
It wasn't like one big decision or like one big thing.
Totally.
Enough about the hard things. I do want to know what has been something that you are most proud of, like a really successful season for you.
The thing that I'm the most proud of with Made to Move, and I hope this will always be true, but like it's getting to see the people that we've helped. And I know that sounds like corny and cheesy, but like when you put so much time and effort into like creating an amazing service and then like coaching your team to create an amazing service and like all of the time spent, like how many hours have we spent in the community working out, doing events, doing drop-ins, like all of these things, like you just spend so like an innumerable amount of hours putting effort towards this thing. And then when someone tells you like, dude, Jordan changed my life.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God. Like it's a really, really cool feeling because you feel like you illustrated that. You feel like you were like, wow, like we created this environment where some amazing people could do some amazing things with their clients. And so like, I think like when my patients or your patients or Rach or whomever, like when they get a really good outcome and they're like, this has been the best experience of my life. Like
wild thing to say.
it's like, damn, this is worth it.
Yeah. Like every time we get a Google review, I'm like ecstatic.
Yeah. But it's not just the Google reviews.
No,
it's the ones that are like, yeah, like
it's every time someone, because it's what they're saying. They're like, she changed my life. Like I'm doing things I never thought I'd be able to do. And I think it's very good for me to film the testimonial videos and to be there because like I get to hear these things and every time I'm like, okay, like we got to keep going. We got to keep doing this because we are helping people change their lives. And like, it gets very, very hard, but that is the reason that we're doing it. And so we have to keep going.
No doubt. Like, I say it all the time to the team, but like our goal is to change healthcare. Like our goal is to be the company, be the team, be the leaders that put our foot forward and say like, hey, like I think healthcare can be done differently. I think that we can bring relationships back to healthcare because that just doesn't exist. I talked to Charleston Southern yesterday, and so like that's top of mind right now.
Oh, I bet you got so fired up.
I got so aggressive. I was like, I gotta cool off. I gotta make sure I don't cry. I need to make sure I don't cry in front of these students.
Oh my goodness. Jeez.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I've gotten so soft, but yeah, like I think like if you can picture like what healthcare provider can you really say that you have a relationship with? What healthcare provider can you say you've spent more than 20 minutes in a session with? Yeah. Like, does your healthcare provider know about your dreams, your goals, your shortcomings? Who do you talk to about improving your health? Like, really, like not just like, okay, I have an injury or I have pain and I'm just trying to get back to baseline. Like, okay, that's our healthcare system in a nutshell. But like, who do you actually talk to become healthier? A personal trainer is probably the closest thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think that relationships and healthcare, like, I just want to be the company that does both of these things. And it's why we are 60-minute, 90-minute sessions. Like, it's why we'll probably never waver from that. It's why I think it's so important to talk about all of these things that we do with our patients, whether that be goals or stress or sleep or nutrition. Like, we try to give ourselves the time to open all of those doors because that's what I think drives a lot of health. And again, like, to me, at least for me, like it always comes back to the relationships and to be the company, to be one of the first companies that can accurately say like, our team has a real, genuine relationship with their patients, I think is an incredible mission.
What does it look like for you to change healthcare? What is going to make you look back, and it's probably going to be decades, and be like, wow, we changed healthcare?
I think the biggest thing that I would look for is like just the tide would start to turn in terms of we would stop focusing so much on like how many patients can we get through the door, how little time can we spend with each patient. Instead of our patient sessions being 12 minutes long, can we get them down to 8 so that we can get one more patient in? In order to change healthcare, at least in the way that we want to, like that pattern would start breaking, is that more places would start to realize that healthcare and community is all about like one individual with like a subset of knowledge, like trying to help another individual and like pouring into them. And so the leading indicator of that, or like how I would know that would be happening, would be more places would be spending more one-on-one time. Mm-hmm. I think that would be the first place to start. That's how I would know, like, okay, physical therapists, healthcare providers, like they're more and more of them are going back towards the one-on-one model.
What do you want for Made to Move? What do you want to happen in the next 5 years? 5 to 10, whatever. But
Made to Move in the next 5 to 10 years, to me, will probably look like we are employing and partnering with a lot of different people who carry that same mission. I want us to be the company where like we can grow outwardly, meaning more people, more locations, so that more people like us can treat in that way, who can have more relationships. Like it's like, I kind of almost think of it as it's our job to create the environment where providers like us can have relationships with their patients. How can we grow to different cities, different locations, cultivate different leaders to further that mission? I would want to see Made to Move in the next 10 years have many different locations where that is happening.
There it is. I was like, what do you really want? You know, like, give me a goal. And like, it's scary to say. Totally. It's scary to be like, I want more locations and like, I want more cities and I want us to have more people.
It's less even about the fear of like, it's more of just like, I know things are going to change so aggressively. So like, and maybe it's just like, I'm not there yet in my entrepreneur career where like, I can't look ahead that far. It's just really hard.
Well, that's what you want right now.
And that's what I want right now.
Is like, if you could snap your fingers in 10 years, we would be in more cities and like, we would be growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And there'll be a lot of work to get there for sure. So if that happens, like as we scale and grow, what is a non-negotiable for you to protect and keep? Like we will never sacrifice this part of Made to Move.
We will never sacrifice the amount that we pour into our team. We'll never sacrifice the ever present desire of trying to keep our team close and in a way that like tries to just like make sure that they are growing as people, growing as leaders, growing as clinicians. Like, it's like, you and I, like, we can't treat everyone, nor should we, but
you sure do try sometimes.
But I try. But like, if I do think that like, okay, more cities, more people, like if that is the impact that I want to have, then I need to be damn sure I'm pouring every bit of me into our team. And so like something that I'm never willing to give up is like, I want those one-on-one meetings. Like I want the leaders that we have in the company to have one-on-one meetings. Like I want that coaching. I want that accountability. I want that constant pouring into people. I think because it's really, it's tempting. Like it's tempting to like how we make money is we see patients. So it's really tempting to like start taking stuff like that isn't revenue generating, that isn't patient care. It's very tempting to take it away. Like every week we have a 2-hour team meeting. Every week I have one-on-one meetings with every single provider. And like some weeks it's like, damn, I also kind of wish we would see a patient in that hour. But it's just pouring into our team and growing in that way is just so integral to our mission. And I don't think we can ever give it up.
Yeah. It's actually not what I thought you'd say.
What do you think I would say?
Well, I think it's not what I thought you'd say because while I agree, I think we can never give up the one-on-one and spending an hour with our patients. Like, yeah. I think that's our differentiator. And I think that we can never sacrifice anything that puts the relationship with our patient at a risk.
Yeah.
It's like, which I completely agree that like the team, they are the ones that are treating the patients. Like they have to be put first. And so then that trickles down. But I do imagine as we grow and scale over the next whatever years, there will be many times that people are going to be like, well, what if you did 45-minute evals? And then what if you did 2-on-1? It's like, we could scale so quickly if we changed our philosophy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm not willing to do that. That's not why I'm doing this.
Right. Yeah. If you solve for, again, which is like the premise of all of this, like if we start solving for how many patients can we get in the door?
Yeah.
Or how much revenue can we generate?
Well, then
like,
let's take insurance, you know?
Exactly. It's
really
like
play the volume game.
Exactly. The moment you make that decision, you lost your mission.
Yeah. It's like, are you trying to grow a business or are you trying to grow a mission? And I think like you have to have a business to have this mission that impacts people. But if you're just a business person, if you looked at the business, you'd probably be like, change this, 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 and this.
100%.
And you could massively scale. And it's like, well, then I would have a business that I'm not proud of.
Right. Yeah. If you, let's say private equity came in, bought Made to Move, immediately it's
no more 90-minute evals.
No, of course not.
Team
like
meeting.
it's probably not one-on-one. Like you're solving for, I'm not even gonna say solving for the wrong thing. You're solving for something completely different. Yeah. And again, like you lose the foundation, you lose the integrity of like everything that we just talked about, this whole hour and some odd podcast. Like it's all been about people and relationships and changing, making sure that you're spending time bringing relationships back to healthcare. You would lose all of it.
Yeah. It's funny because like, I don't think either one of us were ever like, I really want to be a business owner and I really want to grow a business and scale a business. It was like, I really want to change healthcare.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I guess in order to do that, I have to own a business.
Yeah. It's just the vehicle. It's just the vehicle you need in order to make that change.
We didn't get to talk about Charlotte at all. And I want to have Emily sit in that chair. And I feel like a lot of it is her story to tell.
Totally.
But in the next, I don't know, 6 months, year, in 2026, what are you excited about and what do you feel like we're going to be focusing on?
In Charlotte? Is that what you mean?
No, in general. I just meant like we didn't talk about that part of the story at all.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of the story, but I want Emily to tell the story.
Yeah. What am I focusing on then back half of, or in 2026?
2026. What are you most excited about?
2026, like I think 2025, like the back half especially, has been our strongest year yet. And so I feel like we're finally in a place where we can really consider scaling. We can really consider going to a different city or expanding our reach. As someone who likes to jump and build the parachute on the way down, like that excites me. I think it's an opportunity to reach more people, and it's an opportunity to like get to have that feeling that you're building something again. That's probably what I'm most excited for. I very much see that on our horizon for 26.
What do you think what's your focus for 2026?
I think in order to grow in the way that we just talked about in 2026, I think it will continue to be about the people. And so from my perspective, my focus will have to be continuing to make sure that our current team grows, and like becomes leaders and, just like ascends in both like their clinical knowledge and in their leadership skills. But then another huge focus of mine will have to be like, how do we start finding the right PTs to bring onto the team? Cause I think that'll quickly be our limiting factor.
Yeah.
Is who is the person? If we want to open in Nashville, who is that person? If we want to open in San Antonio, who is that person?
San Antonio.
No, we're not opening in San Antonio.
I've never heard of that one before.
I know. Yeah. It's just the city that came.
Yeah. You've never said that city.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Emily and I were joking about San Antonio the other day.
Why?
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how things come up.
Okay. Well, all right. So it's, if you're listening to this, it's probably 2026. Mm-hmm. If you could go back to the 2020 version of Elliot, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to never lose the part of you that wants to make people better. And in that, I think it also means you. What I mean is, I think that the best parts of me have been my desire to help people reach their goals. That could be in patients, but that could be with our team. And I think that what 2020 version of me was really focused on was, the day-to-day and everything, and just like trying to make it. And I think that if I could go back now, I would tell him like, every single moment that you have to make an impact on another human, like take it and run with it. Because I think that every single time that I look back, it's like those moments, the moments where I felt like I really made an impact with people, those are the only things that I remember now.
Are there any patients that come to mind when you say that?
Oh, man, like, yes, like it's the patients who, you know, they hadn't really worked out before, but they had this injury, and you get them out of pain, and then we start to work on some movement, and then you introduce them to this gym owner who then like they join the gym, and now like years later they've been going to that CrossFit gym for 3 years now. And it's those moments. It's the moments where that person started with you in pain, and now they work out, they have a community, they have people. Like you'll go and work out at the gym with them, and you'll see them joking around with other people who you don't know. And I'm like, damn, like none of this would have happened if they weren't in pain and then came to see us. It's moments like that just really, really bring it home for me.
And you help them change their life. Their whole life trajectory is different.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
It's fun.